and welcome today to tonight's Let the Number Do the Talking. I'm Terry Shi, and together with me is Mr. Leong Ji Hian. And together with us today on our live chat is Ms Jun Low of, I'll say, Hating Black Society and other F&B
Restaurant.
business. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Hi, everyone. Hi, Sian. Hi, Terry.
hi, Ms. Low. And just to start off, Ms. Low has been in the industry, F&B industry, for over 19 years, if I'm not wrong. And she has been a very successful businesswoman and have done a lot of created a lot of headways in this particular industry, and of course over this span of 19 years have met a lot of difficulties and have also overcome them. And today we would like to seek her experience and also her guidance as to perhaps advise other similar businesses who are facing the same issues in this current pandemic. So, Ms. Low, maybe to start off, could I seek your response in regards to the latest announcement that that groups of 5 can now dine in at the F&B establishment?
Yes. First of all, thanks, Terry, for putting me on this live chat platform. And I dare not say that I'm giving advice or guidance, but I'm just here to share what operators like us in this industry is facing. So back to your question, when you talk about like the heightened measure right now, that the dining limitations is increasing from 2 to a table to 5. To us operators, where we take it as it's better than nothing. Okay, so it is with that kind of attitude that we are moving along. Although everybody knows that it is operating in an environment with restrictions and limitations. So the 5 to a table is one of which, and if you notice, during the past 1 month when they started with this dine-in ban and subsequently released it to 2 to a table, but ultimately, at the same time, they are not allowing music or even soft music to be played in a restaurant or in shopping mall. I feel that you are, people who goes out to spend, or they want to go to a restaurant, they also want to feel the ambience. You go to a shopping mall or a restaurant right now, you totally don't feel the atmosphere. Everything is like so dead, with very few people actually in the restaurants, if you can see. And people actually equate it to maybe it is through online ring, which has proliferated during this pandemic, but I don't see it that way. I feel that during this time round, where I would deem it as our second lockdown, it is more or less where, okay, we have done it, we've been there, done that, with online ordering. We are slowly getting used to staying at home. So it has come to a point, whereby we are already accustomed to having activities at home, and most of us feel so lazy to go out. So even if there is this opening up with 2 to a dining table, you feel lesser diners actually out there, and I think all these are the few reasons that contributed to the current situation. So I don't know how you see it. Both of you are consumers in your own rights. When you go to the mall, how do you feel? I just feel that the whole town or the whole mall is so dead, anywhere that you go to.
What is the reason for not allowing music in F&B outlets?
The reason given was because, when the music is played, consumers will tend to speak louder, beating the music. But I'm sorry, I do not agree to this analogy, because we are not a disco where you don't blast the music. it is still a restaurant or a dine-in place where soft music is played. It's just for the holistic environment. It is the ambience. It's the whole dining in experience, but not allowing music. I just feel that, you see, Terry and Sian, the pandemic is already very somber. We don't need to add onto it. This is how I feel. You know what is you should allow a little bit of music. It is to make your whole society more lively. Why do you want to make it more somber when the pandemic has already brought so much sorrows to everyone? Be it whether you're a working person or you're a business person, equally. So I just don't see the logic there.
And Jun, you mentioned about people getting used to the lockdown, because this is what just transpired was the second lockdown. Would you say that this second lockdown was worse than the first lockdown? Because there was apparently hawkers were saying that this last lockdown was worse than the first. Because more people, like you mentioned, alluded just now, that people are already getting used to, say, dining from home, or referring to people calling in.
Now, I hear from people like my peers or people in the same industry as myself. Apparently, the ordering is not as
Prevalent?
Not only prevalent, it is not as robust as compared to the first lockdown.
I see.
So I think a lot of the operators are complaining that, oh no, even when we are supposed to have already accustomed during the first lockdown on ordering online or deliveries, but we don't see a spike during this second lockdown, if I may call this the second lockdown.
So there's no, you don't see a spike in orders.
No, in fact, a lot of operators have experienced lower sales as compared to the first lockdown. I think, like I've said, I actually equate it to people are getting used to cooking at home.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot more cloud kitchens out there after the first lockdown, where cloud kitchens actually has sprouted out. And then more home-based cooking and chefs, trying to do, some are even just doing single product, where they get thousands of orders, So I think, when your pie is only that big, to be shared among that many people, then each will definitely have a lesser share of the pie. Yeah.
I'm curious, Jun, did you or other F&B outlets or did the F&B Association give feedback to the authorities that maybe they should allow soft music? And let me ask you a question. If I bring my own musical player to your restaurant, okay, right? Can or not?
If the music is not from the operator, but from the guest.
No problem, right?
Customer.
I am not sure about that. Well, since they don't allow music to be played, so a lot of staff, they will just follow according to the guidelines and don't allow music. So I don't think if you bring your own recorder, you can play your own.
So Terry, you must try lah, then see what happens.
Yeah, you can try.
No.
But I don't feel the logic. I don't feel there's a need to do so. Yeah, if you would ask
my
me.
personal.
It's just like I feel that the whole environment in the whole country is already so somber. You don't need to add salt to the wound. You don't need to make it more morbid. You should, in fact, soft music. I don't think it is disastrous to the whole pandemic. Right, when you already have 75% of your population vaccinated, during the July 12 opening up, where they increased the diners to 5, they still maintain that you can't play music in the restaurants. So I really don't see the logic there.
I just find that through this pandemic, there's a lot of decision or changes to policies without any sound reasoning. They just change because they can do it. That's what I get from it. For example, all this social distancing, saying that you dine must be in groups of two, where in public transport we observe that
This is the point I always bring up,
Yes.
and I always argue, with people who fend for the policy. I always question, if you limit to two to a table, okay, I wonder whether you have heard of this joke. There was this joke that went around to say that, okay, I have a family of 6. I book a restaurant, because they limit to two to a table. So we sat at different tables, 3 tables. And then after dinner, we go back in a car in 6. So do you know where I'm coming from?
Yes.
Does it make sense? Yeah. And also, if you think that all this of course, I agree safe distancing is essential. But you have to also look at other conditions or other situations where like there are many queues, outside many restaurants where they don't observe the 1 meter apart safe distancing. Yeah, I can see it along the way when I drive.
Right.
Where like especially Tanjung Pagar, you have many people, the youngsters, queuing outside those Korean restaurants,
Yes.
but without observing any safe distancing, So I just wonder, like you brought up, like in MRT, in public transport, so
Not just outside of restaurants, even at hawker centers, it's
Yeah.
very obvious that like you have the long queues and people.
Yes,
It's
yes.
impossible to observe the 1 meter, and there's also some funny photos going around where you can see that they follow the front and back 1 meter, but they go by the snake. So there are some. At one point where the person facing front and the side is definitely less than 1 meter apart. So they're just observing for the sake of like on the front is 1 meter but not on the side.
Now you see, as a patriotic Singaporean, definitely we are all here. We are speaking up because we love the country. I am not against all these policies, to curb the pandemic, but I feel that if you do a lockdown, there must be sufficient measures to also help businesses and operators. And sometimes we need not go too stringent where it does not make sense anymore. So yeah, this is my take. Like the playing of music, you already don't allow like clubs, all these clubs to open. So and in which restaurant can you show me an example that they blast the music? I don't think so.
Unless it's disco. Unless it's a disco.
June, you
package.
mentioned help for operators. What
Yes.
help have you been getting during COVID, last year and now? And do you think it's enough, too much,
Before you answer, also could you cover on the issue of rent? Have you been getting any rebate from
Yes.
from your landlord?
Now, I think that Singapore government has done quite a fair bit on relief or assistance, during the pandemic last year, during the lockdown. But I want to point out a few things. Now, we know that there are many government grants, that has been dished out. And I feel that we should let the authorities know that all these grants, you must reduce the bureaucracy in helping operators like us to apply for the grants easier. I have applied for some of these grants whereby when I applied it last year, until now, I still have not gotten anything. Where they will keep repeating, asking you for documents, although it is there. Okay, for example, we need to submit CPF Form 90. Okay, where there are certain names there, but the officers who are looking at it did not or missed out that name. So they are asking you, why is that person not there? So you got to resubmit. There are many of such repetitious, submissions and resubmissions until so tired. And, because as SME, we don't have a clerical person dedicated to just focus on grants. Unlike big MNCs or, government-related or government-linked organizations, where they have a dedicated person just to look into grants. We don't have. So everything lies on one person who multitasks a lot in other areas, and we may not have the resources to just look into grants to get it efficiently and productively to help the company survive. So this is one area I want to highlight. Now, there are many of such grants, but I think maybe you need to, there are so many of all these consultant firms that has sprouted out to call companies and want to help you to apply for grants. But I ask myself, why can't this be the communication from the different government entities that is giving you the grants? Why does it have to be coming from all these consultancy firms where they charge you a commission? Nothing is free under the sun. There's no free lunch. So companies like us, when we don't have a dedicated resource to actually look into grants, we have no choice but to tap onto all these consultancy firms that say that, they are so, we sort of trusted them because we have a feeling that they are so used to applying for these grants. It may be faster, it may be more professional as compared to us, amateurs or novice, trying to apply for grants where there are 1,001 documents, requirements. Fair, you should, because it's public funds. But there are a lot of areas where I tried to go online to do it myself. If you are a first-time applicant, you are stuck because there are certain clicks, that guide you to different areas where you don't know. So these are the hiccups or the barriers that we met, as an operator. So I just wonder, maybe we should cut off, and get, you have a lot of people working in like ESG or, Singapore Enterprise. Maybe you can reach out to all these SMEs to try to help them.
How about the rent?
Okay, as an operator, I must share this. As you know, in Singapore's operating environment, the cost is very high to operate in Singapore. Now, first of all, it is the high rentals, high food cost, essentially everything is high. The accessible labor, excessive labor cost. So if, we are talking about F&B, I think the biggest component is always rental and labor cost. Now, right now, the third one is creeping up. It is food cost because, of this pandemic, the whole supply chain is affected. Logistics is adversely affected. So it drives up all other costs, so ultimately we bear the brunt. So I hope landlords or our policy makers can understand the woes we face. We are not only facing like high labor costs, but high rentals. So in this aspect, I really want to, I would want to plead with all the landlords in Singapore to help all the SME operators to survive, because the rental cost is one big component we cannot avoid and cannot deny. But sadly, Terry and Sihan, I must share, a lot of the landlords are not willing to reduce rental rates because ultimately it affects their property value. And that's where I think we are seeing still very steep rent rates, although it may soften a little due to this pandemic, but I think it is not enough to help SME survive. Unless the government sees it as a holistic picture that they want everything to come up vibrantly again, in all areas of business, I think something has to trade off, during this period, in order for everybody to ride through this crisis. But if there's no trade-off somewhere, like especially on rentals, then I think you will see a lot more shops close down, a lot more people out of the job due to, there's a need to reduce operating costs and so forth. Yeah.
Jun, since you have talked quite a bit about rentals, do you have any comment about NEA increasing the rentals of some of the hawker stalls by as much as almost 40%?
Now, as a common citizen, I really condemn this because coming from a government, you already know that people are suffering. Even if there is a need to increase any due to your own operating costs or whatever reason behind, I think you should hold it. It's not, it should not be during this crisis. During a period when people are already struggling to make ends meet. I think that is very insensitive, if you were to ask me. It should not be during this period. If you have any reasons to increase. Now, what is the reason? The reason to increase may be due to, I think, it is only these few reasons, like increasing back-end costs, operating costs, or whatever. It is always these few reasons. Is it such a drastic need to really, cost it upon the operators right now?
You know, some people
I think that is insensitive.
Yes, some people have argued that it's just like 300. It's 40% sounds a lot, but it's just like $300 in rent. But people don't realize that for each bowl of noodle, for example, that people that the hawkers sell, they only earning about probably 20% or even less of net of the thing. They basically are selling their labor. So for a bowl of noodle that costs $3, they're earning less than $1. So meaning that they have to sell an additional 300 bowls of noodles in order to cover that increase in rent. So I think
actually,
yes.
I feel that all these policies contradicts all the relief that they are giving.
Right.
Here, on one hand, you are trying to help. On the other hand, you are trying to kill. So what are you trying to achieve? I don't know.
You know the usual saying goes where they give you a chicken wing, they'll take out one chicken, one whole chicken.
So on the same subject, when all these costs increased by NEA, at the same time we recently read that there's an increase in electrical tariffs.
Yes.
Right. Now, again, I feel that it's such an insensitive thing to do. Any increase, I feel that you should hold, because you're already dishing out help, where your whole objective is to help.
The problem.
And on the other hand, you're here, whacking the people,
Yes.
on your right.
The problem here, I think, is a problem that's prevalent in Singapore, which is they will attribute this to SP Power, because the SP Power is the one that increased the tariff for energy tariff. But people seem to forget SP Power is under Temasek. Temasek is under the Singapore government. So it all dwells down to end. Is this comes from the government?
I don't see it as SP or Temasek.
Oh no, but this is what they were arguing for.
Correct. But I see any policies that is announced is the cost of the government.
Yes.
It cannot be anything else.
So Jun, here's a trick question for you. Since this program is called Let the Numbers Do the Talking, right? Do you know roughly how much profits are made by the electricity sector in a year? Want to make a guess?
I think I want to throw it back to Si Hian, who is an expert in all these numbers. I think it must be very embarrassing.
You don't want to make a guess,
I guess just a
Just a
rough
guess,
guess, just a rough
you know?
guess. Yes. As a
don't.
businesswoman, what do you think it would be?
electricity
justifiable
sector,
profit?
yeah.
Yes.
Electricity
Sector, yeah.
could be in the millions, I guess.
Or you're,
No lah.
You're
Way out.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're-
it's okay. Just the electricity.
no idea.
Electricity distribution, right, is estimated annual profits about 1.6 billion,
Wow.
and we have not included the electricity generators' profits. Right, yeah.
So these are just profits alone.
Yeah. These are profit of what we call the distribution and supply of electricity.
Okay.
Now, of course, the generators also make money, when
Right.
they supply electricity. So that one, we don't know how much, but just the distribution and supply maybe about 1.6 billion a year, no?
Leong,
Yeah.
don't you think that this goes back to what June was saying just now? And no, by right it should be the generators who are earning most bulk on the money. The middleman or the SP powers should just be the administrator. But it will be seen that in Singapore, by and large, it's the middleman, all these administrators that are earning money without doing anything much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than just
Yeah.
administrating.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right, Terry.
Not the one doing the work.
Yeah. So, June, in your F&B sector, do you have this same issue where you have a lot of middlemen, contractors, who take a cut, right? Of course,
Yes.
electricity, like, for example, if I may give an example, like NEA, right? Hawker centers, right? All these miscellaneous fees is although I believe NEA collects the money, but then they give it out to
They had
they give out to private companies. You see, so they have all these layers, which I don't know
Right.
lah. But you're in the F&B sector. What how do you feel about all this? Do all these middlemen and increase the total cost and the price to the consumer maybe?
Definitely. You see, everyone knows in business, your main component is actually all the costs. You try to control costs. So any increase in any number, in any miscellaneous expenditure, it adds on, it actually adds weight. It affects your bottom line, so to speak. So be it $1 or $100 or 1,000, is still it means something, to an operator in this kind of environment. Now, there's a saying, I've learned in my course of business. Every cent you earn is every cent you save. So I feel every cent is equally important, whether it's 1 cent or $1. So I really hope, especially when you just said, when SP Power and all the profits that I'm hearing is in the billions, the more it provoked the anger in me as a citizen. Why are you increasing costs and adding burden to not only households, but to businesses, into your community at large? Why? What is there a need to really earn more money? I don't know. It's someone's peril, your happiness.
Okay, before we go to the audience,
It's the kind of mentality and attitude that you want to instill in society. Hello.
Hey, Terry, I think June getting worked up already.
Yes.
You can get fired.
Jun,
It is not a matter of conversation.
Yes, correct.
It's our normal human logic of
Correct.
things. Or our normal logical mind that's thinking.
Yeah, if we want to go on this route, right, there's a lot of things we can
Endless,
say.
yeah.
For example, I still can't find it hard to understand why Singapore needs 5 mayor and each one paid 660,000. Yeah.
Oh, anyway,
Yes.
June, you told us a joke, so I must tell you a joke relating to F&B lah. Now
Yeah.
this one, Terry, you know very well lah.
What?
Recently they set up a task force, to help hawkers to figure out how to do more online ordering lah, delivery lah, blah blah blah. Oh, right. So of course the question a lot of people ask you is, you mean COVID after almost 1.5 years, then you start to have this task force? And then what the most funny part is all the discussions, all the media reports not a single word, as you put it, about cost. It's all about more orders, more platforms to get more revenue, but nothing mentioned all about cost, as you have said. I mean, why can't we just perhaps consider reducing the rental for hawker stores? Nothing in the media.
Because
Total silence.
They don't want to cut their revenue.
Do you know the commission they charge for online ordering?
30%.
Because
Just
operators
30%. Yes.
you have to rely on all these vendors to actually deliver, right?
Yes.
It is 30% commission.
Correct.
Yeah.
Ah.
So I
Eh,
just wonder how it sounds to you.
On the commission part, before I forget, people don't realize this, that when you situate your business in a mall, it's not just the rental you have to pay, but certain malls, certain property owners also requires you to pay a cut of your earnings.
Yes. Now this is the part where I think if you have heard of SG Tariffs, where they have actually embarked on this project to negotiate with all the big landlords in Singapore, and they have concluded with this code of conduct, for all the leases, tenancy agreements in Singapore. So this is one part where I feel that they should entirely remove the GTO component, which is a percentage they tax on your gross turnover. Now this component still stays, but they have removed the whichever is higher. Okay, so it's either the structure may be your base rent, plus a percentage of GTO, or a higher percentage of GTO, whichever is higher. For example, your X dollar of rent plus 1% GTO, okay, or 20% of GTO, whichever is higher. So they managed to remove the whichever is higher, but the GTO component still stays. Now, this is one part I want to share, okay, where I feel that this small percentage of GTO, okay, to maybe smaller malls, or I don't know, maybe it's the quantity or it's the matter of quantity number. The amount of paperwork, resources, time dedicated to actually calculate each tenant's percentage of GTO. Now, is it worth the while, the income in total? Is it worth the while in having all these resources just to track the GTO of each tenant? This is my question. Shouldn't this amount of GTO be removed? Why must you tax on your operator, whereby your income is already secured with the rental, with your rent rate?
Jun, are you aware of any countries that have such a practice when it comes to having the tenant to?
No, I only know Malaysia has it because I have shops in Malaysia.
Okay.
Malaysia has this practice as well. Is practice?
I heard that it follows Singapore.
So it's Singapore influence policy.
I heard from the landlords there.
Okay, Jun, now that you are warmed up already, time for us to, it's not befitting us if we don't ask you a funny question, okay? You were talking about, you have to multitask then you don't have a dedicated person to do all this grant, blah, 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 right? How come you look so much prettier and younger since the last time I dined at Black Society? Is it because less work, less business, more relaxed, or is it COVID stress, or what?
I think as operators, right, sometimes I want to share this philosophy where I think it is not new to you. It is, you look at this glass, is either you say that, why do I only have half a glass? Or you would think that, oh, I'm thankful I still have half a glass. So I choose to say that I'm thankful I still have this half a glass of water. So I move along with this kind of attitude. I just take one thing at a time. I just look at solutions to problems that I face each day, and I think that's part of life. So when I take it as it is part of life, well, probably it's just part of life. I don't feel that I'm looking younger. In actual fact, I feel that I'm so much older in heart. When you face with all these crises, all these problems that is forever, perpetuating, one cannot feel young.
Would you say this is the kind of mindset that an entrepreneur must have in order to succeed?
Yes, you have no choice. I think it is not only entrepreneurs. It is as a human being. I feel that we always should adopt this attitude. Comes what may. I want to share this song. Que sera sera. Whatever will be, will be.
Hey, Terry, you are the best example,
Why?
You kena 5 POFMA and 2 investigation of contempt of court, 1 criminal defamation, 1 defamation, and you still going strong and stronger. And still put on weight every day. Well done.
If you want to ask me this question,
you have the spirit.
Throw back the question to you, Terry. Yes. You don't look at all a person where he's facing all these charges.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you combat all this?
I think the problem that they have, right, is that the more they do it, the more I get used to it. So it's like, the first time maybe you I get paranoid, I get stressed out, but the second time is like, oh, okay, again. Then third time is like no different from a visit from a friend. So it is just what the mindset you are trying to promote here, which is what's the point worrying over the issue? What's the point being fearful of the issue? You have to address the matter. And running away from the problem cannot be the solution. If yes, on that, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Terry, can be quite fun, right? Everywhere you go, you get, Grab driver don't take your fare.
No, not
free
necessarily.
food.
Most people don't recognize me.
Huh?
That I can attest to. Most people actually don't recognize who I am.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not really a front end person. The fact I'm doing this is also bo pian. I have to come out and know.
The more the merrier lah, okay?
Yes. Oh, hey, so let's go back to this. I wanted to hear from you, Jun, on
Yeah.
on whether
Okay.
whether or not the application, right, the applications being made so tedious is actually a intended outcome to
Surely.
for people not to apply. Like it's so it's just like what all these welfare schemes that sends you around the different agency, and eventually a lot of people give up along the way because it's so tedious.
Well, I have no comment on this after I don't get in trouble again.
No, you see, Terry,
Yes.
when you mention this, I think it is you are not you won't be surprised to hear that this is what is shared, among all our colleagues who are trying to do all these grants. They are just saying, hey, we are like beggars, things like that. But I just want to actually beckon, and for the authorities to look into this. Like all these reliefs are really very necessary and it's very helpful to every single operator. If the sincerity is there, just reduce the needed, to actually get the final grant. I think it is not only the monetary help that eventually the operators will get. It is the peace of mind, that we really feel that there's really care from the government, sincerely. So while I'm talking about this, since we're on this subject, I feel that, in Singapore, a lot of malls are controlled by government-linked companies. Be it CapitaLand, Mapletree, Capoland, JTC, and now the latest, the new on the block is NTUC. As we know,
SPH is also in the game.
SPH. So I hope all these organizations will really
Have a heart, does it?
Have a heart and think about providing assistance to all your tenants, who are all in need right now. It is like reinforcing the foundation of trust in all these government-linked companies and the government.
Okay, since we're talking about grant, I must tell you this joke,
Yes.
I volunteered to do financial counseling. So I think last year, So there was this person who came, self-employed entrepreneur in F&B, right? So she was telling me, hey, she applied for the COVID-19 support grant, right? Then rejected, right? So then, then I said, then you ask what's the reason, I said, no, they say you cannot tell me the reason. So anyway, after you do financial counseling for 20 years, you probably know the right people. So I asked around and I figured out what was the problem. I tell you, you'll die laughing, right? She ticked the wrong box. Because when they asked her in what sector you're in, she didn't tick F&B. I think she ticked others or something, So the moment she ticked the right box, then you went through. Funny or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jun,
Okay, I have experienced the same kind of incident. Where one of my company where we have applied for a grant, we qualified, but eventually they say that there's a lapse and therefore we are disqualified. So I obviously call to find out why, because they said that they actually posed a question in the grant portal where I actually have to revert, and this question is something very simple relating to the documents we submitted, but because I missed that question, all right, and they disqualified me. So I said, I'm not convinced, because first of all, I qualified for the grant. Just because I didn't revert to your question and you disqualify me. Now, did any one of you try to call me? Nobody called me. They just feel that, that is only communication portal, and they do not know that we have 1,001 things to do. We don't check on the portal every day, and therefore, or sometimes I don't even check emails every day. And eventually we did we got disqualified from the grant where we actually needed it so much.
It's funny that like if
It's just the same, like just now, Sian, you
yes.
said, but you didn't tick on the box.
Yes,
You know, that kind of
so
thing.
I think it's funny when if this situation was met in a private sector scenario, the customer service from the private sector will give you a call and
Yeah.
ask to clarify is this is this
Yeah.
correct or is this wrong?
So why is there no such service from our government
Right,
organization?
which is
from
which
our
is
government
why
entity?
Yeah, that's why it's called government service. It's not called customer service.
which is why I was having this mind that maybe this whole process is to weed out those people who may be not so persistent in going to claim for this grants.
Perhaps.
Okay, so let's answer some questions from the public. So Desgo is asking, is Singapore's F&B scene oversaturated with restaurant and eating joints?
Definitely. In my personal opinion, definitely. Now, I think many years ago, Singapore always want to brand ourselves as the financial hub in Southeast Asia. All right. But then subsequently, down the road, we also wanted to market ourselves as a tourism hub. So tourism and F&B, it is interrelated. You know, you cannot promote the other without the gastronomic element in tourism. So F&B in Singapore is definitely saturated because our population base is very small and we don't have enough tourists coming to Singapore. And especially right now, lockdown, no need to mention. You know, when we are opening up as it is, we don't even have enough tourists. So
Okay, let me.
Wait, before you connect. So the follow-up question on this, right, would be if there, as you mentioned, if there's over supply of F&B establishment, right, would this current pandemic provide some form of market correction?
Yes, Terry. I was actually inclined to think that there's like it's like a correction or a consolidation of all this F&B, you know, maybe there's a saturation. But no, you can see that there's an average of 800 over F&B eateries opening up every year, including, I think this maybe, because this year has not passed, but in 2020, you know, there was an average of 800 new operators opening. So I don't know how to equate this scenario.
But the thing about this market, this so-called market correction, right, is that I have the sensing that small market players will be forced out because they don't have the deep pockets to tide over. But for the commoderates, the people with the deep pockets, people who are backed with like from the GLCs or etc. or connected in some way or another, would have the ability to stay on, and certain monopoly will be formed. I would say in the F&B. Like if you go to any malls, right, it's always that few chain restaurants, F&B outlets that you're looking at.
True.
Like I'm not saying they are, but you are talking about like the brands like Bread Talk, Ya Kun, etc. And at the end you see all this, but the mom and pop F&B outlets, right, maybe so-called price out from the market because they don't have the ability to stay on, especially with say their tenancy agreements, the rent and all this pandemic.
Now you see, Terry, this kind of scenario, you know, there's always two sides to a coin.
Yes.
When you see this scene, you know, forming, like the monopolistic of certain brands or certain government-linked brands or operations, are good and bad. You know, the good thing is, okay, you're talking about a correction of the F&B industry. But the bad thing is you're stifling the entrepreneurship in your citizenry. You know, the enterprising spirit, you know, that one has. And when this happens, it is also stifling creativity, where you don't see new breakthroughs, there are no innovations, you know. So there's, like I said, two sides to a coin.
Okay, let me give you my take on the, like you said, two sides of the coin. Let the numbers do the talking. Let me give you the statistics. You know, I've been analyzing labor statistics for 20 years. And they look very strange now, okay? Listen to this. Now, in the last 15 years, the growth in local PMEs professionals, managers, and executives in the last 15 years, the growth was over 380,000, 15 years. But in the same period, 2005 to 2020, we granted 630 over thousand new PRs in the same period. So what the data is telling me is that a lot of PMEs, right, might have moved out of the category called PMEs. I mean, if you have lost a job or you cannot get a similar job, you know, with a decent pay, what do? You become an FM, you become an F&B entrepreneur, lah, you know, right?
Yes.
Or you become a private hire, driver or a gig economy or self-employed or whatever. You know? So maybe that's why a lot of people are jumping into F&B, and you see
Correct.
the latest figures are more new F&B businesses in COVID-19, right, than pre-COVID, you know, because, I mean,
They're
what
forced
choice do they have, right? You know?
Yeah, correct.
But, but Jun, as a F&B entrepreneur, wouldn't you say that the risk of going into F&B business is actually pretty high, given that at the initial years, right, it's about really sinking in a lot of capital, and whether or not it works out or not, there's no certainty. Of course, with hard work, of course with your food being delicious and service being good, could somewhat ensure your success in certain form or ways. But to really to see a future, say 5 years, 6, 10 years down the road, is pretty hard to say, isn't it?
Now, I feel that the risk is definitely very high. It is not only high. In Singapore, it's very high because the labor shortage right now, during this lockdown, it has actually pushed up wage levels, whether be it foreign workers or local workers, because it goes in tandem. All right. And then, of course, the unrelenting rent rates, the rentals in Singapore. But you still see a lot of new operators, like maybe it equates to where Sian has said a lot of PMEs cannot find jobs. So the easiest way out, it is actually F&B, because the barriers of entry is very low. So long as you have a little capital, you want to give it a try.
Okay.
So this is what happens, and definitely I have seen friends around me, who suddenly, went to open a cafe. Oh, then I know, that's why I can say, yes and no, sprouting out, during this pandemic. So I think maybe it's because, if they have been executives, it is very difficult for them to look for jobs nowadays. So the only way out is to try to venture into a business. And the only way possible is maybe F&B, because it is a no-brainer thing, or an easier route to take. Yeah.
But I think for F&B, going to F&B business, right, one problem I think a lot of face is managing the expectation. Like near to my house, there was a Japanese store opened by two Singaporeans. I felt that their food was really nice, but you know what happened? They closed within half a year. Reason was, right, it's not because that they don't have enough customer visiting their store. It's not because their reviews are bad. In fact, their reviews are really good. But the thing is, the reason why they closed, according to what I understand from their neighbors, right, is that the income that they were getting was not to their expectation, because they were expecting like 5-6K monthly income after cutting all the expenses. So because it doesn't meet, they cannot see the immediate returns, they say there's no point holding on, and they just let go of the shop.
I think they're smart, and to see that, I think the loss is a smart move. I think a lot of entrepreneurs going into F&B actually have maybe very high expectations of the outcome. Yeah. So when of course, your spirit, you're not motivated, when your spirit has been dampened, all these negative results, that you did not expect the income, to be like this, so I think the best way is really to cut loss.
cut your loss and run. Hey, Terry, I tell you,
Yes.
after 20 years doing volunteer financial counseling, you come across a lot of F&B cases. I can tell you, bankruptcy and whatever, money problem,
Okay.
cash trap, they broke. I tell you, arguably, the main problem is what, See, when you cannot get a similar job, then you got no job, then no face, right? So it's nice to say, hey, I'm running a F&B, right? Than to say, oh, I'm driving a car or something, And I think this is the problem, like June say, the expectation, like you say, A lot of people say, okay, this one got face, then got expectation. Well, can be like Jun Low, got nine restaurants there, 9 F&B after the 19 years still surviving, doing well in COVID.
I really thank my lucky star that I'm still surviving. But I really I don't think I'm the owner. I always feel that I'm a worker.
Correct.
To the business. Yeah.
Correct. Because every month you're worrying about overheads. It's not like a scenario where you just like a tai just sit there and just wait for money to come.
Hey Terry, you're online citizen every month. You don't worry about your overheads, man.
Of course, that's what all business.
I always tell my staff.
Yes.
I always tell my staff that I'm a
You're the
slave.
boss. you're the boss.
Slave to
Yeah.
all the staff,
Correct.
and the landlord.
Yeah, and the landlord, especially the landlord. Even if I don't operate, I have to pay them as well.
Yeah, so I'm just a worker.
Okay, so we just touched on the labor part. There was a question from the public on whether or not Singaporeans are shunning the F&B industry.
Definitely.
So it's not shunning in the sense of opening F&B, but we are talking about as employees. So as cleaners, as washers, as servers, as cooks, what's your take on it after running F&B in Singapore for 19 years?
Now I think it has been the trend, and it is not getting anywhere. It has been for years. It is not only in recent years. I think essentially it's because in F&B they know that the hours are longer. It is more manual work, and they are not. I think I actually relate it to something whereby Singaporeans feel largely they are comfortable at home. There's this recent term called 躺平 in do you know what is 躺平?
Don't know.
Lie flat.
Lie flat.
Yeah.
Okay, there's this new term in society, especially in China.
Yes.
Everybody is so discouraged that they would rather not do anything. So it's called 躺平. Right. It's just like when your cost of living is so high, you can't even get a reasonable job. So they might as well stay at home and not do anything.
Their life there is 996.
996. Okay.
In China is 996. Singapore still have it better. You know what's 996?
No, all this sound like Greek to me.
996 working from 9 a.m. to 9
Tang
p.m.
Ping, 996, okay.
So the reason why you have this mindset of Tang Ping is because the kind of lifestyle they have there, where everyone expected, or not expected, but the norm is that you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for 6 days a week.
So is it like something like that you don't see a great future for you going ahead? Is that what it means?
No, in a way, yes. In a way, because these are the youth do not see an outcome.
Okay.
That goes back to what we have today for the F&B. I always have this mindset on. You think about it. A lot of the youngsters nowadays, or even the middle age, are relatively well educated. So we are talking about people from the tertiary or even uni. Okay, let's not talk about uni. Let's just talk about tertiary, meaning poly and downwards. If they are given the choice between a white collar job, which is a 5-day work week, from normal office hours 8:30 to 5:30 or 6. And they are working in an aircon room. Conversely, right, for the same pay, you work in the F&B industry, 6-day work week, 12-hour shift, and this does not include all your preparation from a home, traveling out. So putting aside the pay, it's also in terms of the commitment that one will have. Not to mention, right, when it comes to F&B, right, when people are supposed to taking break holiday, it is supposed to be a time where you're most busy.
The work conditions
your
pay also lah.
it's not just work-life balance, but in terms of your life, right, will be off sync with your friends, right?
Yes.
In that sense.
Okay, June, let me give you, sorry, go ahead, yeah.
As well.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
So we, as operators in the industry, we always try to be flexible, knowing this is the scenario or this is the trend where a lot of locals shun the industry in order to attract locals, because the worker quota, without the locals, we are not able to get quota to employ foreign workers. So we have, in order to encourage or increase the local employees in our organization, a lot of industry players just have to be less rigid and more flexible in making ways to suit the locals. For example, knowing that, okay, locals, they're very fussy, they don't want, we always try to suit, so we begin to employ a lot of locals where they only work 6 hours, and it's only weekdays.
Part-time work, or is it?
Part-time lah.
Part-time.
Yeah, part-time.
They are still considered full-time, but full part-time workers.
I see.
Okay.
More manageable blocks.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's better than no local, in that aspect. But ultimately, we are still not seeing the younger generation come into the industry. All these that are taking part-time work, they are all housewives or older ladies. The newer generation, or like between 20 to 40, or maybe they still don't come into this industry. I know the government has some policies where they started some centers, to try
centers,
to
yes, yeah.
promote F&B,
Diploma in
try to
entrepreneurship.
or maybe to glamorize this industry, but it doesn't work. So back to this same problem, I always urge our authority to actually consider not putting F&B under the services umbrella in qualifying for the foreign worker quota. Because ultimately, right now, you can see that F&B is equivalent to the construction sector, where there are no locals coming into this industry. So in order to help this industry, I feel that maybe I have brought this up many times, and I hope they will rethink again, whether to club all this under the services sector.
Okay, let me give you some numbers. Correct me if I'm wrong, June. Pre-COVID, my numbers, I mean like F&B pay, pre-COVID, my classmate from school who was working in a fast food restaurant, part-time lah. And he told me his hourly pay was about $6 plus only pre-COVID.
When was this? Pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID, yeah. Okay, yeah, part-time, okay. And then just pre-COVID, I have friends who do F&P part-time lah. So most of them tell me, say, yeah, the pay is around $7 to $8 an hour lah, Well, but now, right, my friends tell me their pay has gone up, It's like, even $9 nobody wants to work, must be 10 or 11. So, correct or not?
Correct.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah.
Do you know that at one point of time, when we try to get locals, all these, like every restaurant needed cleaners, right? That is part and parcel of it. And we have, in order to try not to sub out to a subcontractor, we try to engage our own cleaner. Yes. I even advertised to a pay level whereby it's like 3,008. Nobody comes forth, for interviews.
Wow.
So, and eventually we have no choice but to sub it out to the contractors.
Because the contractor would by hook or by crook get someone to...
Yes, because they guarantee you a worker.
Yes. Hey, but June, you know this, right? The minimum, what you call basic pay, including employee CPF of cleaners, right? Before July the 1st this month was 1,236, right? Of course, from July 1st now this month is increased to 1,314. So I think you have the issue here is you have I think 149,000 resident cleaners, laborers and related workers. Okay, so all the pay very low, like I mentioned, 1,000 plus only. Then you offer 3,008. I think the issue is perhaps that these people, they don't know where to find you, and you also don't know where to find them. So there's a gap somewhere.
So there's definitely this big gap. With like operators like us, we only know how to recruit through advertisements, through maybe social media, and through by word of mouth. But where else can we get all these workers? And all these workers, maybe they also don't read all this news or don't go onto the newspapers or social media to look for jobs.
You know,
Yeah.
so one person commented that the hourly rate is only $8 and it's too low to consider a decent pay. That's by Charles Yeo. But I just would like to make a comment, right? Say, first thing, Singapore doesn't have minimum wage. That's one thing. The second thing, right, is that I'm looking at the salary from Glassdoor.sg. For McDonald, right, the hourly rate is $7, about $7. But however, people still go and work at McDonald. I think it's an issue of perception in terms
Yes.
of working. Where's your workplace? You want to
Yes.
work at a Chinese restaurant doing this thing, or you want to be at an
Of
atas
course
McDonald?
lah. I mean,
Or-
Terry,
huh?
you want to tell your friend, oh, I work at McDonald, I get free meal, you know, for
Yeah.
$7.
Yeah.
Or of course, you need to say how much you earn, lah.
Right.
Or you need to say, oh, I'm working as a cleaner in the black society, or what. You know, so perception lah. You know.
I think it's really. I just somehow think for the youngsters or the middle, because back in the old days, it's really whoever pay me better, I go to there. But nowadays, it seems that the work does not. People go to work, right, not for this. But it's more of like, okay, what kind of because they are to a lot of the Gen Y, I suppose, they don't have financial commitment as much as what we used to
Yes.
have.
I attribute it more to that because you also cannot afford, an advancing society. When a society gets more affluent, definitely you don't expect your children who has attended universities to become a waiter in the restaurant. So I think this is part and parcel of the whole fabric, when a society is moving forward. So I don't thought that, but I feel that if we have to be realistic to what is happening in front of us. When we know that the situation is like this, and yet F&B industry is part and parcel, it's inevitable. So in order to help this sector, don't you think that, the services sector, they should remove it from the services sector and just provide the foreign workers that it needs to actually function on? Where for all the youngsters, where they come out from university and all that, we have to provide, we have to look at that from a different angle and provide more jobs for them. Instead of giving all this to, people coming in from CCAR or giving it to foreign workers, maybe we should consider all this bunch of people, our own locals, where we pay so much attention on.
I just find that the situation is a bit hard to address because let's say in Japan, Hong Kong, Korea, etc., where you have undergrads, you have tertiary students who basically work part-time for their allowance or to save up money. So they would do part-time at the F&B establishment, and also because they have somewhat of a minimum wage, so they whatever they are paid as students are actually paid the same as what a working adult would be getting. So it's substantial. Whereas in Singapore, because you don't have minimum wage and etc., then they might undercut you in some way because you're a student and you have no experience, and therefore we don't pay you that much. I remember my friend in Japan. She works after school. She'll go and work in the the nearby her restaurant that was near her place, and she managed to save a lot, and which she could go for her trips subsequently. Singapore, we don't have this practice, and it doesn't help that Singapore is also so stressful when it comes to studies. It may not be even if the student is willing to go into, say, doing the part-time, the school curriculum might not allow the person to do that. Not to mention the parent might staff the student with a lot of extra curriculum, like go and study music or go what.
Terry, you hit right on the nail lah. The root of the problem is no minimum wage. Right,
one thing is minimum wage, and also you have this conflict in terms of the environment is not being freed up. I think one good example on minimum wage is as we has always been saying, the gig industry, this creation of this gig industry, where you have a lot of the people who are like casual workers, laborers. You're talking about people who are single mom who have to take care of their young kids. You're talking about singles who have to take care of their elderly parent. people with various commitments who cannot commit to a full-time job, and now they are able to like go off and do this. And F&B business like like Jun's, who basically cut out the shift into manageable hours, is also helping them. But the thing is, it is not really that widespread. This practice is not that widespread, which is why your society is not ready for this.
Terry, you just look at the labor statistics. We talked about this last week,
Yes.
the population census, right?
Correct.
You have a few thousand people working full-time for less than $500 a month.
Correct.
Then you have tens of thousands of people working full-time for less than $1,000 a month. And all in all, you have something like, what is it, like, was it 800 over 1,000 resident workers whose take-home pay after CPF is like less than $2,400. Hey, 800 over 1,000 people. So if you keep on, you look at the below 500, below 1,000, below 1,005, it's very sad, but the real problem is no minimum wage.
Jun, some people are commenting, questioning in terms of the help, the 3,000 over helper pay, cleaner pay that you have offered, and no one is going to take up. I just want to add on 2 points. One is, I believe a lot of people remembered what happened in Sake Sushi who also offered.
Went on the radio
amount,
and offered $3,600.
Yeah, $3,600, and he couldn't find. And the thing here is, right, people say that they don't believe that, etc. But the problem, and they don't realize one thing is that, yes, this person might go there and say, okay, I will try this job. But after 3 days, 4 days, right, this person stopped doing the job.
Exactly.
3 4 days, I say it's too tiring. I cannot take it.
We have experienced this too many times over the years until it is countless.
Correct.
Whenever we were so happy to finally get a local coming in to work, but it cannot last.
Correct. And
longest maybe 2 weeks.
And I also like the audience to understand, right? This amount, $3,000 over dollars, right, is not overstating, because that is also the amount that you're paying the contractor
Yes.
to establish. So it's not that you're not willing. F&B business are not willing to pay the amount. They are willing because they are exactly paying the same amount to
Yes.
a contractor. So
Thanks for saying that.
yeah. So to people who are asking, saying that that June is telling a tall tale, right? You could jolly well just go and sign up for the thing. But the thing is, you must sign a contract, say you're willing to work for 1 year. But the thing is, Singapore doesn't allow for such a contract to be.
That's why I understand a lot of employers they rather employ a foreign worker and pay
Okay, I
the
want to
levy
tell-
or that,
I want to-
because no
I want to
turnover
tell the
problem.
audience- I want to tell the audience who has said that I may not be telling the truth. May I ask this audience a question? What is my objective of lying about this?
Yeah.
Why? Why do I want to say something, that I may give myself a slap in the face? Why do
You're
I?
on the live show with Terry Shu on the Online Citizen.
No,
You
but
must be
there's
mad, right?
no need- so there's no need to lie about this, because this is actual.
Okay.
Because I achieved nothing by lying about this. I'm not getting anything out of all these conversations. I'm just merely sharing what I experienced in the industry in real life. So
Anyway,
Yeah.
June, don't get too worked up. I mean, a
No,
lot
I'm not getting worked up.
of the comment we see is maybe
Yes.
from IB's one, so
I
never
just
mind.
want to correct. I just want to correct these people's mindset.
Correct.
Yeah.
Please continue. Yeah.
Oh, so, sorry, Terry, just now you're talking about the middleman. Somebody told me for cleaning contract at the hawker center and the mall and all that, food court, that the contractor is charging something like 3,000 or 3,000 plus per cleaner, whereas the cleaner only get like 1,003. Is that how it works?
My understanding of the contracts, right, for all this hawker centers, right, is not on this, is not based on the cleaners, because the contract is based on per store, right? How much they pay. So, for example, the usual food store, they will pay $300. For the drink store, you pay more. and then you will just calculate, and then this will be based on tender.
Oh, okay. I think what some people have done is they take the total, then they divide the number of cleaners, then it work out.
So
something
this
like that lah.
one, this
Yeah.
is just pure business
okay.
calculation. So let's say I and normally it's the tenderer who offers the lowest price. So the contractor would have to then calculate, consider. So if I bid this price, and how much profit will I get if I were to pay each cleaner this amount? So what happened in the past, which we reported on back I think a couple of years ago, is that you have contractor underbidding, and then eventually unable to provide the service to the hawkers because the amount they bid was too low, and they could hire not enough cleaners to do the work.
So June, let me clarify this. Are you saying that if you have to hire through a contractor, you would have to pay 3,000 plus in any case, right? And so you try to hire direct. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yes. Because if we hire direct, then this headcount is under the company where we can they are locals and we can qualify for more foreign worker quota.
Okay. Hey, do you, like some people say, cheat that just put a phantom local worker there, in order to get more foreign worker quota? Is that prevalent in the F&B sector? Because a lot of people tell me, a lot of people do this,
I think a lot of operators won't do that. Honestly speaking.
I know F&B don't do that. It's more of the cleaning industry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because the thing is.
Yeah, because you must have 5 locals in order to get the other 5 non-Singaporean or something.
No, it's not like that. It's one Singaporean for I think 3 or 4 foreigners. So you have scenarios, right?
I think they go by percentage. Like you have 55% locals to support 45%.
That's not what I recall, because when I reported on the cleaning company, right, it's very clear that there are some companies that simply say, example, for this 70-year-old guy, he can't barely do the work, but what I can promise him, right, I'll pay you the CPF. So in the government's record, right, this person is hired under this company, and therefore this manpower count, right, is under this company's name. And because that's the case, right, I can apply for how many work permit under this.
I think on this issue, June, you clarify this for me, because I think you made a very good point, that the F&P shouldn't be lumped into the entire services sector.
Yes.
Because I come across cases where, because they are in the services sector, the whole company can be all non-Singaporean. Because under service sector, you have as long as you have 50% or something who are locals, and local can be all PRs, right? Then the other 50% can be 10% foreign worker from certain country, then another 25% from Malaysia or what, So at the end of the day, I've come across quite a number of companies where the entire workforce don't have a single Singaporean. Because they lump all this into the services sector.
Under the services sector, it covers all the executives in the finance sector, in the law, in the legal sector, in all these professional services, they are all under the services sector. So to lump F&B, which is in dire need and lack of locals, I just feel that it is unfair. It's just equivalent to the construction sector where there is no locals willing to come into the industry, So I think they should remove and extract F&B out of the services sector, and you go by, maybe you can tackle it the same way as you do with construction projects, where each project that you have, you apply for the certain number of workers needed, then you approve or you don't approve. Maybe it can be something like that.
Jun, maybe you can help me on this something. For the 3,000 over for the cleaner job, right? Is it one person, or is it like 1 or 2 person, or is it one person serving one particular restaurant?
Our condition or our terms to them is, it doesn't matter how many. If you can have 2 to come, but we are paying you that 3,008 to complete that job.
I see. So meaning
we have tried. Yeah, we have tried.
So meaning for the job is if you can one person handle the restaurant's cleaning duties, then you can just take the $3,800.
And we allow them to, of course, we pay for an extra headcount during weekends, during public holidays, things like that. And we have actually tried to engage locals before, and it is husband and wife. So they come in different hours, you know, just to complete the job, you know, for one headcount.
I
So,
see.
yeah, some they arrange in that manner.
Okay. So I think I can understand and explain to the audience on this. You see, the thing is, Buck Sim says that he met an elderly cleaner who is paid $50 a day for a $12 job. The thing here is, right, I also agree that it's far too low for a person's working 12 hours or a job. But the thing is, right, the person is clearly unable to complete the cleaning duties for, say, a restaurant. If the person want to apply for the 3,800 cleaner job, because the 3,800 cleaner job will mean that this person must be capable, fit, and committed to clean the restaurant to up to service standards.
Terry,
Yes.
I want to clarify something.
Yes.
When we engage these cleaners,
Yes.
they are only in charge of cleaning dishes. They are not. They don't clean the premises.
Oh, so it's just dishes.
Just the dishes.
Okay.
And you have to bear in mind, there are restaurants operate, the peak hours is only during lunch
Yes.
and dinner.
Yes.
There are other hours whereby you and I can wash all those dishes. We don't need a cleaner.
Correct. I've done waitering myself, and I know that.
So it is a give and take. You cannot say that it is not like if you are there like from maybe 11 until 10 o'clock at night. It is not every hour you have so many dishes to wash. So there are certain days that you're more free. There are certain days that you're more busy. You know. So, and on top of that, we don't exploit them. You know, on days of like eve of public holidays or holidays, we allow you to get access and extra headcount, and we pay for that. You know,
Well,
so
on this issue of headcount, on this headcount, let me tell you a joke. Okay, a lot of people they tell me, hey, you know, I go to the branch, I go to the outlet. How come I see all the people 100% all are foreigners? Well, the answer is simple. Okay, under services sector, right? 50% must be locals, right? All the locals are in the head office, right? And that's why when you go to the outlet or go to the branch, they're all the other 50%. You know, I mean, is that like you say lah? Service sector is all encompassing, so you know, you get such strange anomalies happening lah.
You see, we have experienced this scenario long enough. You know, I think it is more than 10 years. We already know. So can we come to terms with it and be realistic about this?
Correct.
That just no matter how you glamorize it, the F&B sector is just like the construction sector. The locals won't come in.
I think it's unfair to ask specific industries, right, to try and change when it's the whole society that is having this problem. So for construction itself is also the same. You're asking educated Singaporean who has studied all the way to tertiary to go and do something that is hard, backbreaking and at such a pay. If and I think all down to the fact that because there's no minimum wage. I think it's because there's no equal. If right, say there's minimum wage, then the those harder work that is harder to find so-called people to take out, right, will be paid higher. And this is directly what you see in developed countries, Australia, Sweden, Switzerland, where it's the blue collar that earns more than white collar.
Yeah, precisely. Like Jun, like what you say, you cannot lump all into the services sector. Now, I'll give you some examples, okay? You go to the hospital, then you say, hey, the person who greet me is a foreigner. The one who admit me is a foreigner. The one who bring me up is a foreigner. The one who treat me is a foreigner. But then you see, here's the thing, right? Because services sector lump all together, right? These are jobs that Singaporeans want to do, you know, right? But because it's under services sector, the employer will just max out the foreign workers quota lah. It doesn't care, right?
I don't know. I don't. No. You can't just go
Yeah,
there.
I do agree. Yes.
No,
I do agree to a certain extent.
Yeah, no, it's that is the symptom. It's not the cause.
Correct.
The cause is simply that is cheap. First, it's cheaper to hire foreigners, It's not because they're more talented. Then second thing is because it's easy to apply for it. It's not like in other countries, right, where you really have to go, like how you went through applying for the grant. You really have to go that hard to justify why I need a foreigner to take up this job.
On this issue, I heard in Parliament yesterday, somebody said,
Yes.
the foreigner don't have CPF contribution. It's nothing to do with them being cheaper. It's just that we something like we don't need to be responsible for the retirement or something.
That was the,
so to me, that is a very stupid argument.
That was, I believe, by the manpower minister who said that the CPF is not a disadvantage, which Mr. Leong Man Wai actually countered, saying that
of course, the employer saves 17%, on the employers. How can you say there's nothing to do with leveling the playing field for a Singaporean?
This is not a blue collar job. This is 70% high pay.
Yeah.
Maybe even 5-figure. So Jun, I think we are reaching the end. Would you like to just probably come with some suggestion in terms of how the government could help F&B business in surviving this pandemic, or is there any way forward in terms because I believe this pandemic is going to stay with us, which already has been reclassified as endemic. So given this situation, right, how can F&B business evolve and survive?
I think first of all, the government has actually to come to rethink what they want to brand Singapore as. If you still think that, tourism is part of the sector that we want to brandish ourselves, then I think everything is really inevitable. Okay, so if it is here today, in order to make the whole Singapore or our whole business environment more vibrant, then I think help is needed for the F&B industry. And in order to revive and create all this enterprising spirit and innovation and creativity among the nation, then I think they have to first deal with the rentals, and not make business costs so excessively high, because it will stifle all people trying to come up with new ideas, new concepts, to make the whole economy or the whole ecosystem more vibrant. So in order to actually revise the rent rates, I think it has to be passed down from the ministry level, and maybe have a backdoor discussion with all the mega landlords, to see how we can make this a more conducive environment for operators, And secondly, of course, back to labor, our labor problem, it is really to rethink removing F&B sector, under and not covered under the services umbrella, in order for us to survive, because labor is a very important component in any F&B setup.
Correct. Without labor, you can't service your customers.
I think the next thing is I think increasing CPF rates is already here to stay, where they have said that they're supposed to increase in 2020 or 2021, but now they have delayed it another year to 2022. But is this really necessary to increase this? Increasing CPF rates ultimately means is increasing business costs.
Right, and then the worker get less take-home pay also.
And I tell you, this is a vicious cycle, because when a person has less
less take-home pay,
less take-home pay, or what do you call that? Spend your spending limits.
Your spending power,
The spending power. It doesn't recycle back into the economy.
So this one is on the point of increasing CPF contribution. This is opening a huge can of worm. Because end of the day, the worker is not helped. Anyway,
and the poor employer has to cost more.
It's not the only one who I would say the one benefiting, right, is actually from the government, because the government, right, basically essentially has increased flow of CPF money
Yeah.
into it. So in terms of its cash flow, right, it's going to be much easier for
And the
them
poor
to-
consumer may have to pay more, right? Maybe you're going to charge higher price. Or
well,
reduce the
we-
portion of food.
I think reducing CPF rates and not increasing it actually has many benefits. First of all, you're helping your business enterprises, in Singapore to actually curb with all this forever, like it's like perpetual increasing business costs. And also this reducing in CPF rates, it shall mean, you recycle it back to the individual with more spending power, and therefore it recycles it back into the economy. So it benefits the whole ecosystem. But why are we not doing that?
Hey Terry, since you mentioned CPF,
Yeah.
I must give you the number, right?
Yes.
Let the numbers do the talking. There are over $400 billion in the CPF now. Okay? So, of course, we don't know what is the return that the government gets investing our CPF. But let's say conservatively, let's say they get 5% per annum, right? And then, okay, we also don't know what is the weighted average rate that all the CPF accounts pay out every year. But let's say it's 3.6% or something. So if the return is 5%, then the payout interest to members is 3.6, then the difference is 1.4%, right? Now you take a calculator, you multiply 1.4% of 400 over a billion, right? You're looking at something like $6-7 billion a year, into the government's, account or something okay. Yeah. So Terry, that's the answer to your remark about CPF.
No,
And
it's really a huge kind of when it comes to
I
increasing.
have one more thing to add.
Yes,
I have
please.
one more thing to add. Apart from, trying to, get the landlords to really, be a little easier on the rentals, and then, reducing CPF. And the other thing that they should consider, it is to reduce the levy rates, the levy charge on the foreign worker. Because the levy is forever going up. And I feel that shouldn't they have one blanket rate for all the foreign workers?
So how much is the levy now for F&B worker?
The levy actually fluctuates with every month. This worker, let's say worker A, his levy will be different as compared to next month. It may be a case like.
But roughly, how much is it now?
And the number of workers. Okay, it ranges from $300 to $800.
$800 per worker.
Okay, where the bulk of it, yeah. So the bulk of it is on the $800 or $600 level. So can we not look at like a simple levy, for example, $300 across the board for all foreign workers? Wouldn't it help your businesses while you're still collecting income? Okay,
Terry,
Yes.
you know how much government collects in foreign worker levy in a year?
About 4 billion.
Wow, Kuih, you very good, better than me.
Yeah, about 4
And
billion.
the next thing I want to highlight is we pay, I call this indirect taxes, okay? We pay skills development levy for every Singaporean based on their basic wage, all right? But they also apply this to foreign worker, whereby all this skill development, it is more for courses that they have, for us to send workers to upgrade their skills. Then we can use this SDL, right? Skills Development Fund. But we cannot send the foreign workers because it is not covered.
Oh, but
So
the foreign
why
worker
do
also
we
have to pay
SDL?
this skills development levy, is it?
Depends. I think depends.
Yes.
Oh, she said yes.
No, it's not depends. We have to.
No.
We have to.
I'll say it depends in terms of, because some businesses, right, ask the employee to pay.
Got like that one, man?
God.
Ask the foreign worker to pay the levy?
You have to understand, not all businesses are the same.
Oh.
So some for businesses, like June definitely is not the kind of employer, but there are a lot of employers, right, who have come to deal understanding with their employee, right? So all this and the other stuff, right, will be paid off by. So of course it's not permissible, but the thing is, for the person to come in and be accepted, right, then of course they'll be okay to.
Wow, so you're saying the employer don't care You ask me pay more, I ask the worker to pay
Correct.
But actually, realistically, I really feel that the authorities should look into this to actually help businesses.
Okay.
And then,
No.
and then ultimately, when the business environment gets vibrant, more business is generated.
Correct.
You still get back your same income, from your GDP. GDP and from your GST and whatever.
You know, frankly, I don't think levy, right, is the right way to use to control, so-called control, the use of foreign labor. I just want to ask, like, from an employer point of view, right, what's your view on paying foreign workers the same as locals?
I don't think it's fair. I think foreign workers our locals should be paid higher than foreign workers.
But wouldn't that be like a differential?
Discrimination.
No, it's not discrimination. You're creating a situation where the employer basically would prefer the foreign worker to begin with. It's like a self-perpetuating scenario, isn't it? Where because of this mindset let's take it. If you were to refer to most other developed countries, right, which of those countries, right, have the practice what Singapore has, where the foreign worker coming in, legal, not those illegal stow-ins, we're talking about legal foreign workers, right, going into the country, right, are paid any lesser than the locals?
But honestly speaking, Terry,
yes,
I don't see there's a great difference between foreign workers and locals right now. They are almost on par because
yes. I totally agree. That's my point. Because
correct.
at this moment, right, it's no longer about your mindset, because you're already plus the levy, right, paying the same as to the what you will pay for a local.
Yes.
So that's my point. That what's the point of the levy, right, when the levy is there to dissuade you from hiring? So if, right, given the opportunity as an employer, I would definitely prefer to hire a local. I would definitely prefer to hire a local if I have a choice. The reason why I hire a foreigner is only because no local want to take up the job. I got a job. So in the things, the issue here that we have, right, I think in the whole labor market is that it's just that we started off. I think this problem that we have here is not 冰冻三尺非一日之寒. It's not something that's created like for the 4 or 5 years ago. It's created from probably 20 years ago, 90s onward, where a lot of the Singaporean locals were priced out from the market. Where because really you have the flood in, or all these people who are paid 1/3 or half what locals are being paid for.
Hey, Terry, let me give you a recent statistical example to the issue you have raised, okay?
Yes.
Now, recently you saw in the news, Philippines nurses temporary ban cannot come to Singapore.
Correct,
okay?
yes.
So, of course, then I go and look at, all the whatever statistics on the pay of nurses, okay? Yeah. Now, the starting pay of nurses in Singapore, right, is about 1,800 starting pay, okay? But there's one healthcare institution, the starting pay on the website is 1,600 only. But what is unique is there's an asterisk there, it's a note there that says this 1,600 only applies to nurses who are on the CPF scheme. So exactly like what Terry is saying, the foreigners probably get paid much less.
Which is also, I think, is unfair, because they are providing the same work. So it doesn't make sense. Singapore is really uniquely Singapore, where I see no reason how to justify paying foreign workers lesser just simply because they come from somewhere else.
Okay, I have a suggestion actually. It actually ran through my mind for many years. I do agree that since they are doing the same amount of work, they should be paid the same. Let's not discriminate. But I think we should also curb, because allowing a foreign worker to come here to work is a privilege, right? It's a privilege given. And we should at least curb them, it is to curb all these job hoppings by the foreign workers. We should at least curb, like, if let's say you apply your work permit or whatever passes that you're holding, it is like for a good of validity of 2 years. Then within these 2 years, you're not supposed to switch employer. I think this is at one way trying to help the businesses locally, and also to show that, there's a difference between foreign workers and local.
And in fact, that I believe in other countries is the case.
There must be some difference,
In other countries, yes, I believe that's the case. Because the employer has to be the one applying for the
Right.
exemption.
You are the sponsor. You are the person responsible for
Singapore
the.
is a bit different. Singapore is the first employer that's hard. The subsequent one then is easy. So a lot of people, I come from the engineering industry, previously doing fire safety. So you have people, right, willing to come into Singapore at a very, very low rate. So for 2 years, right, I'll work slave labor for you. And then after that, right, when I want to renew my thing, I'll skip to another company, which I can get for much higher pay. So it's just a lot of the foreign workers coming in. It's just for the first contract is just a jumping board.
Hey Terry, let me give you the statistics to what you just said, okay?
Yes.
The unemployment rate for foreign workers in Singapore is 0.8%.
Yes.
The unemployment rate for PRs workers in Singapore is 2.9%.
Right.
The unemployment rate for citizens in Singapore is 4%.
Right.
So you can see that for a foreigner, by hook or by crook, you know, he will work for a job, whatever the pay or the condition. Yeah, you will find a job, right? Because he hasn't got a choice. Okay, so that in a sense make life a bit more difficult for Singaporeans.
I just want to answer to like this Hawkeye's point. Foreign workers are not spoiled and hence they are more tolerant to taking harder jobs. That's nonsense. Because foreign workers, when they come, they have to. Most workers they pay referral fees, so they have to pay off their referral fees first before they can consider keeping on their job. And if they were to say terminate their job, they say surrender, the employer can just cancel their permit and they have to go back to where the country come from. A Singaporean, let's say, if they are faced with the same situation, if the work is not satisfactory or it's too tough or they have their own difficulties, they can just try their termination letter or 1 month in advance and they just walk off, which is what Zihian has always mentioned. Foreign workers are preferred because it's a 2-year contract. It's a 2
no matter what you do, you torture the guy every day, you cannot run away.
Slave
No turnover problem.
Yeah, so I feel that they should look into all these policies. You know, policies you must always, from time to time, you have to review. It doesn't mean that it has to stay there for decades. You know, without any changes. You know, how can that be when life has been, catching up, everything has changed, and your policies is still stuck there for so many years.
So Jun, can we have your last word on the issue of F&B business? Since we're actually nearing 2 hours.
Yeah, we overrun by 17 minutes already.
Yeah.
Hey, you are the longest we've ever had in this program. Okay?
My last parting word is, I think I've already spoken quite a fair bit, on what the challenges, the difficulties, operators like us are facing. We just hope the authorities give a little listening ear to the rent rates that we are facing. I think in order for us to sustain and survive on, I think rentals are very important. Where labor is already something so challenging, shortage, ever increasing. We are everything is driving up wage costs. The next thing really, in order to survive through this pandemic, is really rent rates. If the landlords are not helping, I think a lot of us cannot survive. When you have lockdowns like this, government is only helping you with 50% JSS, landlords are only listening to what the law mandates and nothing else, then how you expect us to pull through? Really, so I really hope that, there's some heart somewhere, who can listen.
Oh, that's hard. Right.
Okay, Terry, my final remarks.
Yes.
June, if someone watched this live chat show and comes to visit one of your 9 restaurants and say, hey, I love all the stuff you said during the show, will you give him like a free drink or a free dessert or a small discount?
Well, if you see me anywhere in the restaurant, come and approach me. I promise you'll get something from me.
Okay, thank you. That's my final say. Yeah.
Okay, so before we leave, I just like to note to the audience, right, that we're gonna have a live chat with Lim Tian this coming Friday. This coming Friday to talk about the discussion, the ministerial statement that was issued on Tuesday, yesterday, which is yesterday, over Sika, and also of course all over other issues. So tune in to the live chat. We will be streamed on Facebook, YouTube, on Friday 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Yes, 7
Okay.
p.m. Yes, so do join in and then join the Q&A and the discussion. We're going to hold roughly the same format as what we had. Yes. So
Sure.
thank you, Jun.
Thank you so much, Terry.
Thank you, Jun, for coming on this session and staying with us for so long.
Thank you, all the audience, for
yeah.
tuning in.
Yes.
You know, I'm just sharing
Yes,
my.
yes.
Yeah.
Which Hamidi is asking which restaurant. Maybe you would like to feature what restaurant? Which are the 9 restaurants that you have?
Oh, I run 3 brands or 4 brands. You know, one is Black Society. Under Black Society, we are in Vivo City. Under Black Society, we have 2 sub-brands, 1 sub-brand, but 2 outlets called Masa Artisanal Dim Sum Cafe. It is creative dim sum. You can find them in Orchard Gateway and in Great World City. We have Central Hong Kong Cafe, the street food Hong Kong, you know, what you normally get, you know, when you go Hong Kong. We have 5 of them. You can search for it on the website, and also Greyhound Cafe in Paragon.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, come and visit.
Before anyone say that, oh, this is a boss who's earning a lot, she also have a lot of overheads to be worried about.
Oh, okay. I have one last parting word then.
Yes.
You know, in any year, we always have to take care of all the expenses first. The boss may get nothing at the end of the day. So keep that in mind.
Correct. It's only if there's any leftover, then the boss will keep.
There may not be, okay? Just to let you know, there may not be any leftover. But on the contrary, if there's anything else that is short, you know, and cannot be covered by the revenue, the boss has to take out money from the pocket first. So the boss will always be the last one who benefits. So please bear that in mind.
Correct. Oh, amazing. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. Yes.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.